Well, One Piece chapter 1042 breakdown. This one I'm gonna give it to y'all raw. That sounds a little crazy, but that's what's gonna happen. All right, I'm just giving it to you just as I've internalized it, talked to people, reread. So this one, you pull up the chapter, right? Pull up the chapter, we're gonna go through it page by page, try to dissect everything that happened. We're gonna get a little deep. I'm talking about really deep. So sit back, kick back, relax. And while you're relaxing, hit that sub button so we can get it together. And without further ado, let's get to it, all right? So One Piece chapter 1042. Let's talk about a cover page. Cover story. So we got Oven here, and they're carrying Yanji and Niji to Whole Cake Island. So they're gonna use the mirror world apparently. We see Brûlé here, Brûlé the liar. But no cap, I cared about Brûlé by the end of Whole Cake Island. Katakuri, her and Katakuri's relationship. Anyway, Oven carrying Yanji and Niji to Whole Cake Island. Now for Pudding, seems like she's blowing some steam off. Like she got her hits in, she's feeling better about it. I still think that she helps them in some way because at the end of the day, even though they abuse Sanji, they're still his brothers. So I gotta say, it does feel good seeing some people from Whole Cake Island again. In hindsight, Whole Cake Island got shit on a lot, but for me personally, it's aged well, right? A lot of things that's happened and transpired, I now appreciate a lot more. So shout out to Whole Cake Island, and I'm really interested to see where this cover story goes. One of the more interesting cover stories, but it's also really interesting because of how close it is to the actual story, right? It feels like this is what I like about the cover stories, when we can somewhat parallel what's going on, but giving us more insight as to things that's transpired that, you know, affects what's going on right now. Like I didn't mind the Bellamy stuff, and even, you know, going all the way back to Caribou. This is great. Once we leave Wano, then we see the effects of what's going on in Wano, or maybe in the world government, while we're in, a lot of people presume to be Elbaf. That'd be dope as well. So I love it. But now let's really get to the chapter. The first page here is showing X Drake, right? X Drake got up, he stabbed homie, that people call Blue Scarf, right through the back. Now I got a very interesting theory for y'all. I'm gonna say it at the end or towards the end of the chapter about who people think this person is. I don't believe it, but it's hilarious, so we're just gonna talk about it. But X Drake, he got up. It was pretty much foreshadowed when we saw him getting up in the last chapter. He came and he stabbed homie. Now, something that's really interesting is that in One Piece, observation haki only works when it works. It's not something that I think you can really predict for the most part. It's not a predictable stat. You feel me? Like observation haki, you can scale it as much as you want, but it's only gonna work when it wants to work. Because for a lot of sneak attacks or just in One Piece, it should be a lot more difficult than it is. But hey man, even Speed got time away from Luffy. It is what it is. Gazelle Man got the drop on Luffy and Zoro before. Shit happens, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really tripping off that. However, it's just inconsistent. It's always gonna be inconsistent, and we're gonna see some more inconsistencies in this chapter, but I'm gonna point it out when we get to it. X Drake did move up in some people's minds in this chapter, which I always felt this about him. Where people are saying now he could be a future admiral. Now we'll talk about that at some point, the future admirals in the story. I'm not mad at it. For me, my 3 admirals in regards to the future, you know what, I'm gonna save it. But y'all can list y'all 3 admirals below. But X Drake talking about justice, people started leaning towards, you know, him having his own sense of justice because he's now stabbing somebody that's a member of the world government. Remember that. I can't forget about that. They're both members of the world government, and he knows this. So him stabbing CP0, it is kind of showing the level of justice to the effect of what Fujitora, the smokers, they really thrive on morality. What's right and what's wrong, as opposed to factions. It's not about pirates, it's not about Marines, it's about what's right and what's wrong. Yes, of course, they're gonna serve the Marines, and that's, at the end of the day, that's his goal, right? To be a good Marine. But being a good Marine also means going against the evils of the world government. So, you know, taking out this guy here, he feels like that's the right thing to do. So I support him, and, you know, we'll see what happens going forward. Homie then did his thing because X Drake, after stabbing him in the back, now, you know, stabs in the back is a swordsman's shame, but I think a lot of swordsmen in One Piece should have shame because observation haki don't goddamn work. Shout out to Whitebeard, still no scars on his back, still a goat. A lot of things that, you know, I haven't talked about Whitebeard because people love him so much. We'll talk about it eventually, but I don't want to bring down this man's character in death, you know, because he's just such an amazing person. However, this guy turned the tides pretty quickly. Looks like Soto into a Shigan. So it's showing that he's really skilled. And a lot of people, again, been shitting on CP0, but he's clearly very skilled. X Drake is just a durable monster. He's his own. So this is expected. Now to the next phase of the chapter, the flower capital. Something that I really don't care about at this point. I understand the importance of this, right? Seeing the people in this setting and just the glimmer of hope that they have, just using the sky lanterns, wishing on them, hoping that things change for them. I understand the meaning behind it. It's just based on everything that's going on in the chapter. Is this the thing I care the least about? I'm not going to say I don't care about it at all. It's the thing I care least about, all right? Right now, I just want to get back back to Luffy versus Kaido, but let's talk about this really quick. It's a small part, so it's not anything to complain about. That's much ado about nothing. But they're just making wishes of enjoying this moment in the sun for the most part, right? Because things are not great in Wano, and this is exemplified in regards to Kaido and Luffy's speech, that Wano's been a shit show for a long time. So these people, this moment, this fire festival, it's one of the few moments where they get to actually kick back and somewhat relax, right? And not think about all the shit they got to deal with. So very necessary point in the story. But let's get to Luffy versus Kaido really quickly, because there's a lot to break down with this. So here, right? Something that I picked up on is that Luffy is broken. Nah, seriously, Luffy and this attack, Hydra, it is so devastating that Kaido doesn't know what's going on. Again, Kaido is a Yonko, and Kaido is still trying to figure out what's happening. And someone like Black Mamba, and to the effect of Culverin, is bouncing off the air, and he's altering the trajectory at whim. So he can't really predict where it's gonna go, right? And it's so fast, even if you can predict the reaction time, you gotta be really on point. Something that Kaido talks about as well, about the rubber, and how rubber shouldn't be able to do this, where sometimes how Luffy's attacks are, it kind of feels sentient, right? It feels like Luffy is attacking, but the attacks are just like, they're doing their own thing, but it's controlled. There's a lot more control that shows Luffy's growth. So Kaido's saying rubber shouldn't be able to do this, which is showing, again, Luffy's growth in regards to his devil fruit, but also hinting what could possibly be going on. Now, Oda could be throwing us for a loop. This could all be just Oda throwing us off the trail by hinting everything in regards to Luffy being the special awakened devil fruit that the Gorosei were referencing, them trying to kill him right away. That all points to me, in my opinion, to them saying Luffy gotta die because he has this special fruit that a lot of people, thought it was lost to the annals of history. I was watching a reaction, somebody said it was lost in the annal of history. I'm not sure that that's what Oda was trying to portray here, okay? But yeah, he's overwhelming Kaido. Now, something we gotta point out, right, is that a Yonko of the Seas doesn't know what to do with this, right? Now, Katakuri didn't experience Hydra. He didn't experience Hydra, but Kaido's clearly hurting from these punches, from these attacks, and he had to use Future Sight to deal with it, which is impressive, right? That Kaido just had Future Sight in the tuck, which tells me that for the most part, all top tiers are gonna have some semblance of advanced haki in different areas, multiple areas, because that's how you become a top tier, right? You gotta have pretty much maxed out stats in these areas. And for Kaido, because he's such a tank, he just takes these blows. It's like, I eat those, baby. But he like, yo, by the way, I got Future Sight in the tuck if need be. But Luffy forced him to use it. It's not something that he normally uses, but based on how these attacks were coming, he's like, okay, I gotta use Future Sight. He has to activate it, and it's not, something that people are missing, right? Where it's like, why does Kaido have to activate Future Sight? Everybody got to activate Future Sight. However, for Katakuri, it's seamless because it's a part, he's integrated it with his devil fruit and his fighting style. It makes him invulnerable. So for Future Sight, he probably has the best stamina in the One Piece verse in regards to Future Sight, because it's a part of his fighting style. It's a part of his being completely. And it's always activated for him because it's become a part of him. So I don't think it's a detriment to Kaido that he has to activate it. Everybody has to activate it. For Katakuri, it's just something that, it's just a part of him. It's almost automatic. It's second nature. Don't shit on Katakuri or Kaido because Kaido has to activate it. More so Kaido. It's just, he doesn't need to. He's a tank. He's a monster. Okay, and this chapter is proving just how much of a monster he is. The whole point of that is to say that Luffy, he has the ability to overwhelm even top tiers, and Future Sight is something that's necessary to deal with something like Black Mamba or even Hydra. So that's crazy in itself that Luffy already has an attack like that, but Kaido is forced to use an ability that he typically doesn't use. But also impressive on Kaido's side that he has an ability like that that's just stored away. Now to Kaido's phases, the flirty drunk phase, I'm really curious about it, but he's drunk. These phases are things people go through. When you're drunk, it's just a wave of emotions, especially for Kaido and the things that's going on with him. I did make a video talking about Kaido and maybe the psychology of Kaido for the most part, not just specifically that, but we also talked about Luffy. Link will be in the description down below, just basically getting into the mind of Kaido. I'll touch on it a bit here and I'll reference the video again, but if you want to get to that after this video, though, watch this shit first, then you can go back and watch that. Now, Luffy's kind of like, yo, you're still drunk, but Kaido already explained in a recent chapter, when I'm drunk, I'm not weakened. Actually. And something that happened when Luffy was fighting Kaido in the past was that his haki was getting stronger, even though he was drunk. And as the fight was going on, so I wonder if Oda's going to touch on that again. Is that like one of the special abilities of Kaido? As the fight goes on, he gets stronger. I mean, but Luffy's kind of the same way. So, man, this is going to be a slugfest, bro. Again, Kaido, very impressive him to pull out Future Sight out of his ass, but it's not really an ass pull because he's at the level of a combatant that it makes sense for him to have something like that. I love it because Future Sight is now getting respect again because a top tier has it. A lot of people looked at Future Sight as somewhat of a detriment because of the drawbacks, being focused, etc., etc. However, they were saying, well, no top tiers really have Future Sight, so how valuable can it be? It's just like for Kaido, he doesn't really need it because it's not, well, he needs it obviously because he's fighting someone like Luffy that it's a different type of fighter as opposed to him fighting Big Mom, where she's not as quick, she's not as nimble as Luffy. Does have attacks, she has her homies that can aid with that, but fighting someone as quick as Luffy, and for Kaido, you know, when you're fighting someone like Kizaru, for instance, like someone quick like that, you probably need to have Future Sight. So, you know, he's risen in my eyes as one of the top combatants in the story. I mean, he's already that, but man, it's really hard to put anyone above him. Just seeing that he has something like that on the back burner. Anyway, enough of Kaido now. We're gonna get back to him. Actually, let's stay on Kaido. Thieving drunk phase. Kaido basically was using abilities similar to Luffy, right? It's so crazy just how close it is to Katakuri. We had the Future Sight with Katakuri, then we had Katakuri flexing on Luffy, showing him that he can do the same things. Kaido's somewhat doing the same thing. I don't know if he's intentionally trying to flex. It's just, hey, I can do these things too. So maybe it is anything you can do, I can do better. I find it hilarious where Kaido's saying, hey, rubber's not supposed to do that. Kaido, a dragon is not supposed to do that. A dragon turned into Black Mamba. Like, that is insane to me. Like, that just shows Kaido's level of ability. And even though he's a brute and he's a monster, he is very adept at fighting, obviously, right? And something we got to keep in mind, Luffy is in Snake Man, one of Luffy's fastest forms in regards to attack. Kaido manages to evade all of these different attacks and get a bite in on Luffy, which shows us how fast he was moving. Snake Man is not a slow form, and he still managed to apprehend Luffy, use Blast Breath after eating him. So it is insane just how well Kaido is in regards to versatility and adapting. He's amazing at that. People are comparing Kaido and Big Mom recently. I'm just like, I don't think there's any comparison at this point. Okay, that's not fair. It is a comparison. It's just Oda is clearly showing Kaido in a more favorable light. Even though Big Mom, we feel like she has a lot in her arsenal, Kaido is clearly more impressive. Clearly. Maybe it is splitting hairs, but I'm picking the dragon side of that. You feel me? Even though Big Mom, she is impressive in her own right. All right. Props to Luffy, because even with Gear 4th and all that he's going through, he's still hanging in there. Kaido is firing blast breaths, destroying different structures. Yamato had to get out of the way, but Luffy fought through a blast breath before, so he's just taking these, bro. Something we gotta talk about with Luffy though is his forms and how he seemingly changed forms just abruptly. We've talked about this before with Luffy and how that could be the next step where Luffy is just seamlessly switching between forms. So this is impressive. Went straight into Bound Man, and then again, Oda is driving the point home that this is his last Gear 4th. His last Gear 4th. And so again, you can parse it where you can say, all right, this is it. This is gonna come down to the final blow. But saying this is my last Gear 4th, my last Gear 4th attacks is different from saying this is my last. This is it. This is all I have. It's like, well, this is it for Gear 4th, but this isn't it for me, you know? So I don't think Luffy knows if he has anything in the tuck, right? But something else is coming. 100%. Anyway, so I'm gonna say this now. I would not be surprised if by the end of Wano, Kaido is viewed as the strongest or the best villain in One Piece. It is getting ridiculous, just how impressive this guy is as a character. And I'm falling in love with him. All right, I'm in my flirty drunk phase as well. Kawaii, that's
Much later.
Something else I wanted to point out, right, is that Thunder Bagua is probably one of the most fastest attacks in One Piece. It continuously catches Luffy off guard, bro. Continuously. Like the last time Kaido used it on him, he barely dodged because he was using Future Sight. But this time, man, it's just out of nowhere, bro. And it's a very fast attack. No shout out to the anime for botching this actual move, but it's clear now. It's a blitz. It's a blitz. It was clear before because Luffy did mention, hey, I had to use Future Sight and I barely dodged it, which speaks volumes, you know what I'm saying? But it damn near knocked Luffy out, right? He had to, hold the air in, which speaks to just how Gear 4th works again, or else he would lose power, especially with Bound Man. I wish, we'd got more explanation how Bound Man actually works, or Gear 4th. We have, good idea, I guess. It's just not completely clear, but that probably is by design. The Supreme Kangun, Luffy just continuously leveling up, incorporating Kankasaki into his attacks, showing his amazing fighting instinct. Now, to the end of the chapter, because a few people were confused as to what happened, I'm just gonna be honest. Initially, my first read, I was confused as well. I was like, okay, I know CP0 did something, but what happened here? So basically, the sequence of events, Luffy and Kaido going in for what seems to be one of those final clashes. Supreme Kangun, Kaido's going with his Thunder Bagua. But then CP0, the guy that just got stabbed, he jumps in, right? But what he does is he grabs Luffy's shoulder or his arm mid-attack, right? Uses Tekkai to somewhat lock his arm in place to brace himself. So Luffy's arm is stuck. At that point, Kaido is still swinging. But it is too late for Kaido to hold back. CP0, you can say they Soru out of the way, or it looks like Skywalk more than anything. But Soru, Skywalk, whatever. And Luffy's the only one that gets hit with a Thunder Bagua coated in Conqueror's Haki. So then CP0 pretty much accomplished their mission because Kaido got a free hit in on Luffy. Okay, in a vacuum, this is very impressive by CP0 because we give Kuma a lot of props for getting in between Kizaru and Rayleigh, just jumping in the middle. That's a testament to his speed. CP0, again, this is a testament to their skill. Even if you don't think they're uber powerful, they are skilled. Specifically this guy, very skilled. X-Drake stabbed him recently, turned the tides, Soru Shigan. In this instance, got in between, let's just say, two Yonko, was managed to temporarily stop one Yonko for another Yonko to get a hit in. This is how you alter fights to, get the outcome that you want. This is perfect for CP0. Now, I'm not just gonna use this and try to scale them because this is one instance of doing a specific thing to get the outcome that you want, the favorable outcome. However, don't shit on this. This is a very impressive tactic. I loved it. Now, the outcome of this is deja vu for Kaido. This happened before with him and Oden, so he's just like, bro, not cool. CP0 about to turn to CPR because it is going to get very ugly for these dudes. It's not gonna end well. Kaido is going to be pissed. Again, last time, the effect of defeating Oden the way he did, it's played a major role. He has PTSD, it's affected him throughout his pirate career. And I think the major effects of Kaido and how he relies on strength comes from rocks more than anything, but this was a major part of, his instability in regards to his psyche. So I do want to talk about what happens going forward, but I think this is one of the special chapters where we can make a prediction for what happens in 1043. No break next week, less than a week to wait for the chapter at this point. Oh, what I wanted to talk about with you guys as far as this theory that's going around, it's a very funny, stupid ass theory, but I love it because the One Piece community, there's no limit to our creativity, okay? What did Netero say? Do not underestimate humanity's infinite potential for evolution. Or sometimes it is infinite potential for malice. This time I'm saying malice because we are just malicious in this goddamn community. However, the theory is that CP0 guy, he is cosplaying and he's none other than Red Hair Shanks. Man, listen. It's one of the funniest theories that I'm just gonna keep spreading because it makes no sense, but it's hilarious. If Shanks is the person that stops Luffy's arm for Kaido to hit him, and then the fucking words at the end, like a rush of emotion, is like, it's fucking funny, bro. I don't believe this, clearly, but I think it's hilarious that people are coming to this conclusion. It's like people looking at the scar in the stubble. Well, it's like a scar on his mask. It's like, but the rebuttal, well, he has two arms. Well, that's Shanks' hockey arm, all right? You're just gonna have to accept that. But either way, guys, fun chapter. Very, very, very good chapter, man. I really love this one. Luffy is a god, but Kaido might be one too, yo. But y'all, give me y'all thoughts. How do y'all feel about all this? Amazing chapter. Absolutely love talking to breakdowns with you guys. But yeah, give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys all so much. Again, guys, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
I start doubting me, I felt lost. I rewrite it.